here's the introduction. Howdy hi, hello! How's it going? This is Nick Vic.
And this is Azero Alcala.
And you are listening to Confidently Uncertain Podcast. Welcome back to, this is actually, I wonder if you'd be surprised, Azero, because I was surprised when I had to title the last episode, but this is episode 11 we are recording. We are finally in the double digits.
I actually thought this was episode 10. I thought that's what you're going to say.
I wish on episode 10 I announced that big milestone. Like, we have reached episode 10, the perfect number of episode 10, but it's episode 11. I realize I'm just losing track, you know?
Well, I'm glad that we have enough episodes for people to actually scroll down on like a mobile website. Like it's not just like four awkward like.
Well, we've been there.
Been there, but now you can scroll down, guys. We have an episode 0 as well. Did you know that?
Yes, check out episode 0. So we've been doing this good job of, for like an episode, like 2 episodes or 3, we end up like sticking to a theme, like unintentionally. It's just we end one episode and when we talk back, we think maybe we should go further into that one thing we touched on. I'm saying this because, 2 episodes ago, we talked about your new mentorship, and then we talked about what a 5-year plan really is. And now we're actually going to touch upon mentorships again. And this time going more specifically into the past, not really like your current mentor, but stuff like, well, what is a mentor? How do you get a mentor? And has Azero had a mentor before this one? Has Nick had any mentors? Anything close? But yeah, let's go into that. Or let's just go. You were saying that you want to give a clear definition about what a mentor is. You want to give that a 0?
Yeah, since I've been fortunate to have enough experience in the past with mentors, I've noticed that there are a lot of true facts about mentors, and there's a lot of, I guess you could call myths about mentors. When you first hear mentor, and you've been on this boat yourself, you mentioned to me that a mentor, it seems like something almost like a job, something formal, something with a constant update.
I described it as it's always an elderly person with a beard.
Yeah,
and they are very wise. They've been in it for hundreds of years, and they go, how did I do it? Oh.
Yeah, but if anything, it's quite simple. A mentor is just someone who has experience that they can pass down stuff to you, that they can guide you through your path of whatever you want to do with your career, and to be more specific, not even your career, with just general life tasks.
Mm-hmm, yeah, and they don't have to be significantly older than you. They don't even need a beard.
Yeah, I think that's the one thing Nick really wants to emphasize.
I want to emphasize, I found people who seemed like very, very high potential to be my mentor, like 80 years old, but they had no facial hair. How was I supposed to trust that? They're spending too much time shaving, not enough time filming.
This would be a perfect time for a commercial.
Dollar Shave Club. But, I think it's just something to know that there isn't like this. I mean, at least for me, when all joking aside, I really always thought like a mentor had to be somebody who was like significantly older than me, and also almost like in a new realm. That a mentor will be in a different stage of their life from you, but you might find that your mentor might just be a year or 2 older than you. And, this is no stereotypical mentor out there. It's just anyone you can get good advice from.
Well, I mean, the audience, think of this. Everyone who is hearing right now has had a mentor, whether you knew it or not. Now, the reason I say that is because when you hear mentor, like I mentioned in the past, it's very formal. The title's very formal. A mentor and a mentee. It's a title. It's passed. I guess it's passed down to you, right? But a mentor can be someone like a teacher, your favorite teacher, someone who teaches you a certain subject, something that you're interested in. It could be, honestly, sometimes your parents. I mean, that's a handed down mentor, to be quite exact. Like yeah, they have no choice butt to be your mentor, if anything.
Yeah, they might be bad at it too, but they're your mentor.
Yeah, you learn from them. They might be shitty.
But you do get to choose your mentor, and it's good to note that like it's really anyone you're taking that step further to learn more from them. And you even said it one time that Zero, you said you saw me as a mentor, and with the way we give each other advice back and forth, like we are each other's mentors.
Really, it is.
And we are the same age, and we're in the same place, but it's like we do give each other this guidance and reassurance.
Yeah, because there are some strengths that you have that I need to work on. Like one specific one that I have learned a lot from you is your organization skills. I'm getting much better at being on top of with responding, with actually organizing stuff, with actually remembering dates, so on and so forth. And that's something that I found has supplemented my just personal goals in general. Like even with this mentorship that I'm in right now, it's not something that's super new to me. It's something that I'm somewhat familiar with now, because with this, I worked with you as a client, you being my client, and like me helping you with like your posters and all that. It's almost like a back and forth of like, here's what I expect from you as someone who I hired you as here, and then like with critique, so on and so forth. So it's something that I wasn't totally new to, and it's thanks to you. So yeah, to reiterate that, it does not have to be someone who's like in years in the industry, or years like Nik said, like with God knows how much experience they have under their belt. It could be someone who supplements what needs to be supplemented in your life.
So with that said, I mean, I think the definition's pretty clear now what we're going to be talking about. Now, I do know we also want to talk about like how did we find mentors, and a spoiler alert, kind of just fell into our laps. We just saw the opportunity and took it. But I think first we should say who were our mentors, or just somebody we like may have talked to once, or took that extra step to have that conversation, like schedule it out, and just how crucial that became in like our work ethic. So I guess we know about the mentor you have now, but have you ever had a mentor before this, or someone you would consider a mentor?
Yeah, actually, my very first mentor happened almost by accident. So I have a Cintiq that's 24 inches.
Cintiq is a tablet?
Yeah. Cintiq
like a
is
drawing tablet?
Yeah, it's a drawing tablet that you can connect to your computer, and you could draw directly on it. The screen's on there. It's a lot of professionals use it in the industry. And I bought that from my mentor. So it was something like, it was super cheap, and I was like, this is too good to be true. So I went over to his place, he was telling me about it, and it's like, oh, it was barely used. I don't use it that much for work anymore. And he was telling me where he works. He works at Facebook. So, and I was, at that time, I was still in school, and I was still immersed into being in the industry. And I was pumped that I found someone related to where I want to go. He wasn't specifically a concept artist, but he's a track lead at Facebook, meaning...
Okay, I was about to ask.
Yeah, I know.
I leaned all the way up for that one. Like, wait, don't just jump over that.
He's a track lead, meaning he organizes a team for certain presentations, for certain type of projects that need to be pushed. For example, he works for Oculus, which is those VR headsets?
Yeah, I'm familiar with them.
Yeah, so the VR headsets, that's mostly dominated right now by Facebook. And a lot of the employees, like 3D designers, app designers, user interface, all that, they use VR. So they're pushing that a lot. And he's one of the main guys who help run not only like the production of what's going on with VR, but actually with the presenting it to the public. So essentially that's what he is. He's somewhat spokesperson for almost Facebook, not only for the public, but also what's going on inside Facebook. So he plays a very crucial role. And he was telling me that, and we start conversating like during the transaction of me getting this tablet, packing it up, and we found a lot in common, and we were so excited to talk to each other that we wanted to see each other again. It's like, hey, why don't we go out for beers or something like that? Why don't we talk a little bit more?
And that, kids, is a true story of how Azero met your father.
Your father. Your daddy.
I want to make a How I Met Your Mother joke, and I was like, actually, this is weirdly said since I'm not the one, so I want to be How I Met You. But continue. You guys were hitting it off. You got you got those beers.
Yeah. I think it was about a month later that
A month? Was it like that's how long it took to contact each other?
Well,
or?
it wasn't how long to contact each other. It was just getting a date to settle on, because he's a busy guy. He works at Facebook. It's very seasonal for him. He could be super busy one month, and then the other month is just dead. So it really depends on how many projects he gets. So that month, fortunately, at the end, he was available, and I hit him up like, hey, what's going on? Do you want to go out for those drinks? And do you mind if and he knew I was really wanting to know more about what he does. I asked him, can I bring notes? Because I would love to know more about what you do, and it sounds very interesting. I was invested not just in knowing experience, but I was invested in knowing more about him, because I did see him as someone who could potentially help me. It wasn't just someone who it wasn't just a network. It was a friend. I actually did like him. And
okay, so did that help out? Like, I guess it's like through finding someone who could be a mentor. It's also like not just idolizing them.
No,
it's also building up this friendship. You even described your current mentor being like that, someone that even after the job you could see yourself continuing the connection with them, just hanging out.
Yeah, pretty much. That's how I guess. Besides, this mentor that I'm talking about and all the other mentors that I had, just real quick, all of them are friends. All of them are people that I actually genuinely enjoy being with, being in the company of. It's not just like I stamp my time card, I talk to them, and I stamp back out. It's one of those people that I would ask, how's your day going? How's life going? What's going on? And even some days where we don't talk about that stuff, it's just hanging out. I'm very fortunate enough to be around that. So to go back to what I was talking about with this guy, I went to go get drinks. I got the notes. And he told me everything from the beginning to where he was to where he ended up now. And he told me his process of how long it took him to get where he was. And it was inspiring, but also gave me a lot of hope.
Oh, how long was it?
It was about a couple of years. So he moved, I believe, from...
That's actually not as bad as I thought the answer was going to be. I mean, 2 years is pretty long still, but I honestly thought it was like going to be like 10 years.
Well, I mean, I guess I don't remember how many specific years, but I know that he moved from a very small town, not in California, moved to the big city. Was
New York?
San Francisco.
Okay.
Yeah, big
not
city.
as big.
Not as big, but I guess like for everyone else outside of San Francisco.
No, I get it. Like it's a San Francisco, New York, the two cities.
Yeah, they're cities, but they're also very key cities in California.
And New York's not in California.
No, sorry. I was thinking San Francisco. And San Francisco is that key city in I was about to say New York. Oh my goodness.
Hey, remember when you say you don't need high school? Maybe we should go back.
So he went from like pretty much a middle nowhere type place to San Francisco, in which it was kind of being thrown in the deep end. There was no reputation from him. He only worked on small projects, kind of like how we work with each other, like we help each other out and all that. It was that type of stuff.
Yeah, it was really like you may have had experience, but there's no record of it.
Yeah. There's no like true prominent company record, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
So, and hearing that again gave me hope, and it gave me more inspiration, because this guy is only, I believe, 27 now. His birthday was recently. So
look at that, not 100 years old.
Not 100 years old.
Did he have a beard?
He had scruff.
Not a beard. Not good
Not
enough.
a beard yet. No. Yeah.
Debunk that stereotype again.
Yeah. Exactly. And
Even
and
though
this,
it only existed once I put it in this episode.
this guy, no, and also if you saw him like on the street, like him just hanging out, you would never know that he's a director. Like he's that type of guy in which he's so chill. He's so like down to earth. He talks to like anyone very fluently. You wouldn't recognize him as like a high tier position on Facebook. And
He's somebody that you don't look at him and see him like he's at a whole another level. I mean, he's still in the 20s with you.
yeah, he's still in the 20s.
So again, look at that. The mentor does not have to be somebody like way surpassed where you are.
And again, to emphasize, I like him. He's my friend. And from after that point on, we met up a couple times, but even those couple times weren't about me. It was just about hanging out, catching up, see how we're doing. And he's always oh man, this guy is like also, if anything, he makes me feel really good about myself because he's like in love with my art. And he's like, you will get a job easily, man. Like, he has his girlfriend also is like super invested in my art too. So she follows me. She likes all my stuff, and that's the first thing that they talk about when they see me. Like, Azero, your art has gone exponentially like greater every time. There's no limit to what you can do. It's crazy. So it feels good not just getting stuff from them in regards of like I guess passing down experience, but like the appraisal's really awesome.
Yeah, and from someone you truly admired from like the same field you're in.
Yeah, and that feels like you're on top of the world because you get someone that you respect utmostly is giving you that respect back. And I think also as a mentee, that is one of the most crucial things that you should find in a mentor. Not just I feel, in my opinion, from my experience, I feel like you should find a mentor that will respect you back. Not just someone that you're clawing for information.
Yeah. Like they're just as excited to give you the time as much as you want the time.
Yes, and you would actually be very surprised how many people want to help out there. How many people want to pass down information.
Oh yeah, I mean, look at us. Like we had this information and we started a podcast because we wanted to share it.
Yeah,
and it also makes me think about like this one time. And the story is something I love to tell so many times, and I just hate the fact I forgot the guy's name. But it was when I was working at this factory, and when it was lunchtime, because it was like a college program, it was like 6 other people my age, and I was lucky to work with like maybe 3 of them, but I didn't really click with any of them. And everyone else is just so much older. There was like a different. They didn't care, you know. It's like they're like 40 and 50. They've worked in a factory for 10 years, and I'm just some kid. Yeah, they didn't really care. You could tell through every conversation. I remember the one I'll get the most is "What's your major?" And when I would say it's film, I'll get told how much engineers made.
That's always a thing for creatives.
Yes,
they always get reminded how much they won't make.
I never get like oh yeah, that's great. I get a oh. But so I'm sitting down, I'm having my lunch, and I'm at the table by myself. I'm avoiding people, and then someone asked, "Can I sit down here? The table's available. The seat's available." I had like 5 seats around me, but when he asked if he could sit there, I was like, "Fuck." I'm not kidding. I was like, and I'm thinking, okay, Nick, just because he's at the table with you doesn't mean you have to talk. And he starts asking me a question. He's like, so what do you do? I'm like, damn it, I don't want to be told about what I should be doing. But when he asked me, like, what do you do? Like, do you go to school? What do you major in? And I told him film. He started asking me, oh, is there anything like you're working on now? And I think up to that point, I never got asked that question. Like usually when people hear I do film, it's just like, oh, that sounds exciting, that's cool, you know. Or the one I talked about, but people are always curious to hear about like what I was doing, but they weren't really curious about what I was doing to get there or what I was doing in that realm specifically. This is the first time someone asked me, it's like, oh, what are you working on? And I honestly was feeling like insecure to even say it. Like, oh no, he doesn't really want to hear it. That's what I kept saying in my head. He doesn't really want to hear it. And
Yeah, because at that point, a lot of people have been just kind of like
I've had
brushing
it.
you off.
Yeah.
So you're so used to being like, okay, here we go again.
Yeah, like they may ask one more question afterwards, and then if you actually start telling them about something you're working on, or even a plot to something, they don't really follow up with questions.
It's the equivalent of like a family gathering in which
It was family doing it to me.
It was family doing it to you. They're invested in. They're not investing in your life. They just ask those questions.
They check it off. Like, yes, now I'm a good cousin.
Yeah, exactly, or a good uncle or some shit like that.
Yeah, I can list off each one. But I'm not gonna say all my cousins and uncles and aunts are like that. All right, you know who you are, the ones who actually care. Shouts out to that good cousin. Son, I should
all
say
of them are
good
fighting
cousin.
for that one good
I should probably.
role.
I'm not gonna make them compete. Look, there's multiple. All right, so he asked me about a plot then. He's like, do you have any stories you're writing? And I was like, yes, I do. And I'm slowly telling him some information. And I tell him a bit more. And he asked me like, oh, where does it go next? And I'm like, I never had this many questions asked about my art. And he then not only told me like he liked the story, he's like, and I could relate to that too. And he said like, you're able to do that. And let me tell you this, you're not going to get it. You're not going to get that dream working at this factory. All right. And I'm like, oh, I don't plan to work forever. It's like, good. I want you to go out there. And
the dad you never had.
I have a dad.
But did you have that type of dad? No.
But then what he told me was, I think I remember sharing to him how I wasn't used to this. And he said that it's like, remember that everybody wants to share their story. It might be hard for them to let it out, but everybody wants to share a story. And that's why I saw through you when I saw you sitting here by yourself. Like, you have a story. It's not that you can't talk. It's not that you don't want to. It's that no one really seemed to show that they wanted to hear you. And that stuck with me so much. Just that right there. Everybody has a story and everybody wants to tell it. And I honestly believe that that's something you got to know whenever you just want to, like, ask someone about their experience. Like, even if it's difficult for them to honestly open up about it, if you just really show them, like, I do care, like, they also want to share. And that rhymed. Remember, if you show you care, they will want to share.
Yeah.
And I should say, by the end of the story, after this wise old man told me this thing, he faded away right there.
Infinity War style.
No, stop taking it there. It's like the ghost cliche. Like, it's like, dude, that guy gives me such great advice. What's his name? What, Glenn? Glenn hasn't worked here in 20 years.
Whoa.
No, but that's the thing. I remember him wearing a uniform, and he gave me a name. And I said, thank you, Glenn. And he's like, oh, I'm not Glenn. I'm just borrowing this uniform. My real name is... It fades away there. And he says, yeah, when you become big, just don't forget there was that one man who just sat there at your other table and just had this talk with you. I haven't forgotten. I just remember your alias, okay, but not your actual name. But I think that's just something to know. And you're sharing this story that when you got there, you weren't shy to show how interested you were to hear what he had to say. That the fact you were like, can I bring notes? And he was all for it. You wanted to talk to him about his life, and he was all for it.
I think a little footnote to add with both of our stories. I know that some of our audience members are not like us. We can talk to people. We're very good at sharing. We're very good at relating to people. We're
just very open people.
Yeah.
And if you're me, you've been bad at being social long enough that you caught on. You took some notes, and now you're pretty good at it.
Yeah. Or for me, you screw up so many times that you know what's wrong.
I'd like to think we just grew this confidence inside of us.
Yeah.
We finally have this confidence in which even if we don't have the confidence, we know how to fake it, and we've learned how to just help other people feel comfortable and have some type of confidence, just to open up, even if it's just a little.
And that's kind of one of our fortunate I guess situations that we're in which, even at Syzygy, we talk to so many people that we kind of get a good sense of how we're I guess we're supposed to talk, and if we talk this way, what we can get out of other people. So I guess what I'm trying to say is, I know some of our audience members does not have that ability to do so all
and
the time.
then like even approaching someone could be something very nerve wracking.
It can, especially, like if you have, I'm pretty sure some people who would probably know like this, let's say if they were in the same position as me with the Facebook guy, I know that it'd be intimidating knowing that, like, oh my goodness, like, that's crazy.
I guess it's like, I feel like maybe I could finish your statement. What you're going to say is like, it can be very nerve wracking to talk to new people, but it would at least help me trug along is just always remembering that if you just show that you actually care and you keep in mind that, you're not going to get everyone to open up, but knowing that it's like, it's possible to get someone to open up if I just actually care and I show that. And I remember everybody wants to share their story. It can become easier. Of course, easier said than done, but it takes practice.
Yeah.
It's like doing it enough times until you got enough evidence in your head of a real, like, okay, it has worked a number of times at this point.
Yeah. I guess to really put it simply on that note, I guess a very good advice that has worked for me 100% of the time if I want someone to open up, because I'm actually very good at having people open up, is ask questions about them. Look for keywords. Look for keywords that you can tell, like, if they talk about their hobby, that their face, like, quite literally, like, just is more expressive, is more into it. Talk about that keyword. Ask questions. Ask, like, it's a skill. Ask, like, practice that skill, and then you will realize that the more you do that, the more they want to share with you, and from that you can bounce off that conversation with your stuff, and so on and so forth. People love talking about themselves.
Yeah,
like that.
It really is a skill just to know that perfect balance of getting them to open up about themselves while also getting the opportunity to open up about yourself.
Yes. It's a balance, and it's not something that will come very easily, especially introverts. We completely understand that. That's we're talking from, again, position of experience. We've had those experiences, but we also have those failed experiences, and we make ourselves look like a couple idiots.
Mine was like a forced practice. I had a front desk job, and when people wanted to talk to me, I couldn't escape. I had to, like, get better at conversating.
Quite literally, same for me. My first job was like pretty much in the like open water lifeguard, like fire department, working with authority. So I have to be vocal about these type of things. So it's that.
So, was there anything else though you wanted to, like, add on about your experience with that first mentor you met through the Cintiq?
Yeah, I mean, even from there, after, like, meeting up with him so much, that's when he started, like, he invited me to Facebook. I went to Facebook. I went to the headquarters. I met some people, and throughout all this time, you'll realize, I guess, to wrap it up, essentially, this mentorship is a friendship. At the end of the day, I don't consider that guy a mentor as more than a friend. I actually care about that. I actually want to see what's going on. If you feel like that at the end of the day with someone that you look up to and that you've talked to for a while, you know that you have a good mentor there.
Yeah. I do want to touch on something, because if we're now going to fast forward this little time travel exploration. Why am I describing it this way? Anyways, if I were to, and that take it over to me and, like, my experience with mentors. So you were having, we gotta give it a nickname, Cintiq. You want to call your mentor Cintiq?
Cintiq.
Cindy. That's not a bad one. If it goes with Cintiq.
I guess, sure, Cindy. Sure, let's say Cindy.
So, like, when I was working on Hyde, I got this opportunity to film at this person's house. And the reason they let us film there was one that was he had a connection with one of my producers. I say one, he was the only producer. No. But he had a connection with the producer for Hyde, and so he talked him into that. And the guy, the house owner, I'll call him for this. Let's call him Homer, because we used his home.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Now I just keep thinking merch. Merch.
I never.
So you want to feel merch?
I never met another Homer. I feel like I'm saying a different word. I never met another Homer. All right.
Watch out, you're in San Francisco.
There was like a bubble in my throat. I was like, where's the R? But I never met another Homer, and I feel like that is the reason why.
All right.
Because of that show.
Now I know what you're going to be talking about.
Okay, yeah. But anyway, so maybe I should just call him my homie. I don't know.
So homie over here.
Yeah.
Tap into your Mexican side. Okay.
So he's actually a filmmaker himself. He's an independent filmmaker, and I was very curious about his career because, he had a house. What he did was filmmaking, and it was like, whoa, how the fuck is he doing that?
A pretty nice house.
He had a phenomenal house, and so so the reason he let us film at his house was he was just very excited that a film was being made at his house. So much to the point that he was bummed out. He had to do work and couldn't be there while we were shooting. I remember that being said by him by the end of the shoot. He's like, he apologized, like, sorry, I couldn't be here, like I wanted to. And it's like, oh, you didn't have to, but I saw this excitement that he had for this project, this one I was leading, that I sensed it right there. Is like, I think this guy he must be as interested in me as I am with him. Like, I want to conversate with him. And I remember after the shoot, I had his number, and it was everything was just like dating. I had the number. I met him. I sensed interest. I wanted to take it further, and I just staring at the number like, what do I say? What do I say? That. I asked you for advice, which is also funny because when we were single, I also asked you for advice for a girl. And how do I approach them and how do I message them? Like, I got the number now. Yeah. And so I asked you, and you said, just tell him straight up that you want to talk with him. And it was this is what I mean by dating. It's the same with dating. It's like, just tell them you want to go on a date. And it's like, you can't just, and I was just like, you can't just do that. How do I make it clever? But I talked about it with you, and I was also seeing a life coach at that time, and you both just said the same thing. It's like, just be straightforward. Like, hey, can we meet up potentially? Like, let's grab lunch, and just for I can honestly pick your brain. Like, I want to know about you. I want to talk about you. There's questions I have. And I was like, okay. And I sent it out. And he was just as thrilled. He was all for it. It wasn't something like, let me check my schedule. I don't know. No, he was for it and was very happy that I contacted him. And as we were trying to schedule it through, it was kind of like a similar thing in which it was like, okay, these 2 weekends aren't doing too well. Let's try check back in with me, and I'll check back in with him. And eventually, I had this opportunity. Like, I was like, I want to let me take you out to lunch. Give him some incentive. To the point he's like, yeah, you can just come over to my house. Actually, I'm like, oh. And then I was like, yeah, if he applied to dating again, it's like, whoa, he wants to go straight there.
No, dude.
But
want to see my camera setup? Want to test it out?
But yeah, it went to like, he's like, let's just meet at my place and talk. And I was even like, what were we gonna do there? Do I bring a beer or something? To the point in which even when I said I'm running a bit late, like the traffic got worse, I ended up like going out to downtown beforehand, and the buses just they weren't in my favor that day. Mm-hmm. That when I told him that, he was like, you could just call me too. And I'm like, oh. And in my head, because, with it all, I felt like I had to like win him over, which is why it wasn't just, do you want to grab lunch? But it's like, let me treat you out to lunch. And when he says, you can like come to my place, I'm like, what do I bring? But it's like, there was never any implication that I had to treat him out, because if this whole thing was about getting the conversation, then it was just like, then what's the most efficient way we could conversate when he lived like in, I think like what, somewhere in the San Leandro area, and I'm in San Francisco. He's like, yeah, don't do that drive. So we had that conversation, we talked, and he gave me some really good insight in which he asked me, he's like, what is your goal? What do you want to do? And it was just a really great talk. He's even where I learned that, like, if you want to show that you're organized, you have to say that stuff too. And you got to start showing it, like, by beating a script and marking things down. If you were a producer, how are you going to prove that to somebody? And also give me that assurance that I was actually doing, for what I want to do, I was doing everything. I was like, is there anything more I could do? He's like, you're leading projects, you're directing, you're producing your short films, and you're getting your name out there. It's really just presenting yourself now to people.
Yeah, to quickly interject, that's actually a very good point. 'Cause my Cindy said the same exact thing to me. I was like, okay, like, what should I be doing next? What can I be doing? And he just said, you're doing everything that you're supposed to be doing. If not, you talking to me, you're already way ahead of the curve.
I got told the same thing. He said you're doing everything, and even added is like, even reaching out to me to have this conversation. That's a good move right there.
And that makes you feel super good.
Yeah,
like you hit a jackpot. Like, oh, really? Because from there, you have networks. You have people not just in your bubble of school or whatever. You're out there.
Yeah.
You already started.
And it just felt so great. And I guess it's funny because it's just something that really clears things up for you, because the reason we both asked that question was because it was that mentality like, why am I not famous now? Why do I not have this career now? Give it to me now, you know? And it's like, they were telling you, it's like at the time, it's like, hey, dude, you're 22. You're doing fine. Like, this is where you're supposed to be at 22.
And not to divert too much from the subject, but from him telling me that, from my mentor, that's when I got the full confidence of going like to online classes, because I really just wanted to pursue my own thing. And what you said about like, why aren't I famous now? That type of mentality, not always, but usually happens from the system of school. Meaning you have this path that's given to you, and you have this path that with empty promises, aka Academy of Art, you know, like all this stuff. It's such a trap that everyone is prone to fall into, especially us creatives. It's understandable, but hearing that, even those simple words from a mentor, can change your life, and that's not even an exaggeration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's just, it's one of those reminders that the world doesn't work as perfect as high school, college, job. There really are these other things you just have to do, and that it's gonna take time. It won't be instant. So yeah, it was just so nice to hear that.
That's coming from a bunch of 23-year-olds. Okay?
Yeah,
just to remind you,
the mentors wanted 23.
They wanted 23. We're talking about us. I'm talking about us. So we're still young, and we just figured this out. But I like to think we're both confident in that.
We confidently uncertain.
Yeah, there we go. I was waiting for you to kind of tie it in.
I mean, it's just a thing that's just like, for anybody who is younger than us or at our age, hell, if you're even older than us, it really is just like, I know we compare it to like, we're still young. This is where we're supposed to be, but we should really be comparing it more to like, how long have we been doing this for?
Mm-hmm.
Because that is really how you should be gauging it. So even if you're older than us, don't compare it to that. It should be like, how long have you been doing this for?
Yeah.
Have you been doing this for 1 year? Of course you're not going to get the big name just yet, okay? Yeah. It's going to be taking this time. I mean, even for film, 1 year might end up to being one film, all right? You got to have to accept it, that it's a long process, and then it's advertising that and finding the right venues to take it, and also asking yourself, like, well, when someone approaches you, is that all you have, just that one film, or do you have something to say, like, I'm doing something next? It's many steps. It's many things to consider.
And if anything, mid-20s, all the ages usually just divulge into one big blob. No one really cares in their 20s how old you are, honestly.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed in my experience. It's a little
Well,
off
I'm
topic,
talking
but
beyond like even someone's like in their 30s. I just saying like it's never too late to
it's
start.
never too late.
And that it's like there's no shortcut. And if you get a shortcut, the game glitched up. All right, it's not. You still beat the level, and we're not hating you. Okay,
Yeah.
We're just saying we can't all take that path.
That shouldn't be the expectation. That should be something that if it happens, great. If you met that one person that really skyrockets you up, great.
Yeah, and I did want to add that mentor, my homie. Mm-hmm. He did actually give me one thing that he said I could do more. And he mentioned a lot about information interviews in which you just contact a employee, someone like, I can't think of like specifically what the department would be, but just someone higher up, someone that's like has this position that you would want, or you think like learning from it can benefit you. And you contact them and just ask them like, can I schedule a talk with you? I'm not here to apply for a job. I just want to conversate with you. And it goes back to that thing we were saying about like everybody wants to share the story, and everybody you're looking up to that as a mentor that you're like you want to learn so much from, they also want to teach it as much as they can. And he said that's what he would do. He would do information interviews, and no, he wouldn't get the jobs because that wasn't the reason he was going in there, but he learned things from each person. And it sounds like it was no different than him just saying, talk to more people that could be mentors, even a mentor just for the day.
Mm-hmm. And I guarantee you, from the people that you talk to in the informational interview, you've already made an impression just by taking that initiative. How many people do you think those people talk to as an informational interview in their daily lives? I can't speak for everyone, but I'm pretty sure very low the number.
Yeah.
Putting yourself out there, you already took that chance. You already took that step up. Even though if you don't get the job, they'll remember you.
Oh, they will.
They will remember you.
They will. And, I guess it's, when we talk about how, like, it's not easy for everyone to make that approach to someone and conversate and ask for something, I feel like, and I'm not saying hearing what I'm going to say is going to cure it all, but I feel like part of that stems from you feel like you're not wanted and you're being a burden. If you're going to get anything from this podcast, it's that when you're going in with sincere curiosity and showing that you actually care, you are wanted by these people. You are not a burden. That's something you have to know right there, that when you're approaching them, they want you to approach them.
Yeah, you're right. It's you. They want to talk to you because they're also human. They're also human. We love talking about our careers. We love talking about where we came from. What makes you think they don't want to do that as well?
Yeah, when I think about it, it's funny. It's clicking in my head. Like I know I've been seen as like been acting as your mentor and vice versa, but there are times I have been in conversation with people or people hit me up to conversate one-on-one. I just realized I acted as a mentor for that day.
Yeah.
They're asking me and I'm telling them about my experience. I'm like, oh shit.
To reiterate, a mentor doesn't have to be formal. A mentor can be a friend. A mentor can be someone just even close to you, even for the day. Like I'm not saying every mentor you need a super close personal bond that's like everlasting. They're generally usually the best kind, but get rid of that formality. Mm-hmm. That is I guess if you want to take anything away from this, get rid of that formality. Mm-hmm. I hope for what we said,
there's no hierarchy.
Yes, there's no hierarchy. Get rid of that notion that you have to talk to like. You have to claw your way up to the top for your mentor. And again, you don't have to have one mentor. There's plenty of mentors out there. There's plenty of people that want to share with you.
And I did want to share. There was this thing after the talk I had with Homer. I asked you, I was actually nervous. Like, how often do I keep updated with him? How frequent does this have to be? Because, like, you made a friendship with your mentor, like a friendship in which you guys really got along. Like, my guy is really cool. Like, that mentor, I still think he's fucking awesome. I would so go hang out with him. We just honestly didn't click as, like, strong as, like, dude, let's go grab beers on a weekly basis. But so I guess it was like, I know we keep saying friendships, and in my mind I was like, how close are friends? We have to be really close. And I asked you, so how often do I contact him? How often do you contact Cindy? And you said, like, well, I mean, we hang out sometimes. It's not like there's any demand, like anything you're supposed to do of like, it should be a weekly thing or anything. You told me that you would like a good time to just contact them is when you actually had an update about your work or a question. And I think that's just something to know right there. Because I don't know if anyone else has that worry. If you find someone that you want to have this conversation with, know that it doesn't have to be like you talk to them on a weekly basis. It could just be you could check in once a month just to see how things are going, or ask them some feedback on something. But it's just like, when do you have that announcement? When do you actually need that information, or when do you just want to catch up? Don't force it. I guess it's the real thing I'm trying to say there. Don't force it.
Remember, they're also humans. That can be easily annoying if you try to keep frequently do that.
If you're almost like just using them for information,
it's obvious.
Yeah. It's like I guess it's like you have to be careful, because if you're constantly asking, if you're constantly only contacting them, just to, I don't know, just give like the life guidance. It's like, ask yourself now, like when we're talking about keeping it, like you two look at each other as equals, like, well, where is it now when it's like they're solely giving you information and you're not really giving anything back? And I will say it again, the thing about it is constant asking for advice, because like if you just ask for advice 1 month and then a month or two go by, you ask again. That's not the same as, say, daily or weekly. It's always the same thing. Yeah. I can't even imagine what the new advice would be if you asked weekly.
Yeah, it's just way too odd. Like the only exception to that is like my mentorship right now, because we actually have a schedule in which it's weekly. But we both agreed to that.
Yeah.
That's something that happens there.
I guess overall, if you remind yourself this is not someone you're supposed to be idolizing, then I think it will just come natural. If it's, again, that person, not only you get advice from, but a person you care about.
Which is why I mentioned the best time of mentors are the ones that you could be yourself, really.
Be yourself. And that, it becomes a friendship. Ask yourself, how would you treat this person as a friend as much as someone who can be... your mentor. Yeah, I was like looking for different words. Like, mentors working just fine.
Those gnawing questions inside your mind get much more diminished once that happens. When you start actually bonding with them, when they actually kind of get to know them a little and all that, it works out really well. So, and also, I guess we're wrapping it up. But I guess also this, think of it as if you were a mentor. How many times would you want to hear from a such and such person? How would you feel if someone asked you, can you be a mentor?
That's a really good way to think of it. Just ask yourself, like, well, what would you be comfortable with? What would you want from this person? What would you want to know?
Yeah. You have the same feelings as them, I guarantee you.
I want to see if I can find it. But after I had that talk with Homer, I was so full of this energy, just want to go out there and do it. I felt so excited about my path that I did write it all down in a notebook. And just to like remember what I was thinking right after that and the advice they gave me. And if it's not in that backpack across the room, you're not going to hear it, but I'm going to try. So stall for a bit, Azero.
We have a studio, not a room. Where we live.
I think it's by my bed.
We live in San Francisco, mind you. Okay,
I think it's under under my bed, actually.
We have surround sound right now with us. He has a $300 headset. What room are you talking about?
Not to like tip over my dishes.
Goodness, no! Don't ever sully the confidently uncertain podcast like that. We're top tier. Joe Rogan got nothing on us.
Hold up! I need to tell my housemates to calm down a bit out there.
Goodness.
Found it! I found it. It says right here, after talk with, not the real name, I'm not going to say that, but it was actually, okay, look, we got a date on this too, August 30th, 2018. And keep in mind, writing this was something like, oh, I'm only going to read it, I'm just writing it fast too. So there might be some things that could have been worded better, but let's just see what I thought. This is literally minutes after that phone call. Be humble, be honest, be hungry. That's the message I got from, I almost said the real name. That's the message I got from Homer, and it's not unfamiliar. I've heard those words every time I had a conversation with somebody about networking and working in the film world. Now it's finally making me, well, hungry. I had my first mentor talk, and now I want another. Who would hate hearing, you're awesome at what you do? Could you teach me a thing or two? Hell, I love teaching what I'm passionate about. And Homer offered me potential future work if I contact him, asking about it. It's no promise, but it is saying I like you and I want to help you out when I can. Who should I talk with next? This person comes to mind. She is doing great things as a producer and is around my age. We got along and I like working together on the same set. I should approach her for a talk and see where it leads me. I should always remember to follow up. They will enjoy my company, but I have to understand in their busy lifestyle, I'm secondary. They would love the talk, though I need to put in the initiative. I should also talk with my teachers, current and old. This professor really loved my script, even gave me most improved. I should check in with her. Teachers love students. That's why they teach. I should think what I would want to ask them and then approach. Approach! It's all over this passage. I need to also remember film reel and writing portfolio. Look up line script. That's the word. Line script, not beta script. Line script. Small jobs on sets and in my field. Script supervisors, jobs by directors, PA for producers. I like Foley. Foley work. Study that. Yes, all over the place. That's just how excited I was right after that. There's things in caps and explanations. And right there, I mean, I think some things to like maybe make clearer was the fact it was like, yes, I said like, oh, I'm secondary. It's just knowing that it's like that word at the end, which was initiative. I need to be the one to take that. Because that's just how it's going to be when it comes to like, if I want that information, I got to ask them.
Yes, sir.
As opposed to, because I'm not going to be like a newsletter, email that just sends it over like, I got some new information for you. Mm-hmm. They're not doing a podcast.
No, they're not.
But even after that, like, it just made me want to talk to more. And yes, that person did. Homer did offer, like, he did tell me when he was going to be working on films again and said, like, yeah, just hit me up and, you know, just say, like, I think he said around this, like, just tell me, hey, Homer, I'm hungry. You know, you got anything for me? And also that word being humble, not going in there like a big shot. I am just somebody being honest and saying, like, I want to do this work. Here's what I want to focus on. Do you have any positions in that role? Because that's what I think I'll be the best at. And if not, tell me what else you got. And I did contact Homer and got to that. We discussed again. He was working on another film project, a short. I think it was a feature-length film. He was a cinematographer for. He actually really worked hard to not only get me a job on set because it was very low budget, but he worked hard to get me a job on set and also make sure I got paid for it.
Wow, that's super awesome.
Yeah, he really, and he also said, like, here are the openings I have. It was like stuff like grip work, and he remembered the conversation and saying, like, but I know that's not really in the field of what you want to do. I'm letting you still have that option. I'm going to ask around and see if there's anything more in that position of, like, around scheduling, organizing, and even working close to the director.
Yeah.
And in the end, I did not get the job. I did not get to work on there, but it wasn't from lack of him trying.
Yeah.
He really fought for me, and in the end, he's just like, we just generally can't afford another crew member.
Yeah, and I mean, like, it's just. Oh, it's also like you're representing him, but he trusts you enough to, fight for you. Like he trusts you enough. Like this guy's gonna go somewhere.
Yeah, and to think like between those two moments, I think there was like 3, if not more, months in between, and he still remembered me fondly enough to fight for me. That just felt so great.
So find someone who could fight for you.
But I read something from a journal I thought I'll never read out loud, and I think that's a very good way to end this. What about you, Azero? What do you think?
Yeah, I think that's really awesome. A good quote, a good kind of quote type ending. So leaving off on a good note, it seems like you're pretty excited to even find that again.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah.
And I'll end it on. I'll say the last thing said on this podcast would be the first thing I read off of that page in my notebook. Actually, it was 2 pages, but but it is: be humble, be honest, and be hungry. I hope all of you have a great week. This is Nick Vic signing off.
And Azero Alcala signing off.
Bye-bye.
Bye.